Hey guys, welcome back to another Summoner's War video, and today I'm going to talk about 5 tips on how to clear B12 dungeons. Yep, so today is really just about giving tips and talking about this. If you are interested, please stay tuned throughout the video for these tips. So the first tip is to use the right team. It could be that you have been using the wrong team composition from the start. There are plenty of guides out on YouTube which you can check it out. These guides suggest different teams which you can use for B12. So do check them out if you haven't, but I believe if you haven't cleared B12 yet, or you can't clear B12, you probably have done that. Then the next thing would be that you shouldn't use teams that are too ambitious for your current progress. So for example, there are many videos out there suggesting using Lucian and Wind Barbaric King for Giants B12 for example. But the question is, do you have good enough rune quality to clear even the mid-boss stage? Because if your monsters die in this mid-boss stage, then the chances of you having a successful run will be so low, right? So if rune quality is a problem for you for faster run, then go for a safer team which results in a slower run but then a much more higher success rate. It's always better to have a 99% successful run rather than a 50% successful run rate. Okay, and if you have already done that, try to play around with leader skills. So for example, in this team, I'm using Sigmarius as the leader because it has HP lead for dungeon, and that just helps to increase the survivability of my team rather than using Lauren, which has attack lead for the team. So play around with it, switch around and see whether it works. The thing about B12 is really surviving the entire run. So for those players with mid-tier runes, don't try to nuke down the boss as fast as you can. Really try to survive and give your team more HP and more defense, and using HP lead to your advantage. Okay, so that is the first tip on using the right team. So once you have tried that, what should you do next? The next thing you should do is to build the right monsters. For players who just started out, of course your monster box is quite limited, but you need to choose the right monsters to build, and a very useful tool is this right here. You can do the search function to choose the sort of attributes that you want in a monster, and it can give you a suggestion. So for example, in GB12, if you have problem, a good thing is to find monsters which can increase defense, right? And you press search and there you are. All this monster suggestion right here. You can also combine if you want greater efficiency for your team, increase defense and probably recover HP. Then there you have Emma, a perfect one as well. Okay, so this is the next thing you should do, building the right team. I mean the right monsters for your team. There have been questions like, for example, should I build Shannon for GB12? Is it a waste? I think there's no right or wrong answer. If you are just a casual player, then my advice would be, why not? Just go ahead. If you're not fighting for number 1 placing in RTA or wheeling out, then yeah, just enjoy the game, build a Shannon, because she is great for GB12. Okay, but of course if you do have better alternatives, like let's say for example Emma, which can be used in many other areas as well, then build an Emma if you do have her, right? So there is really no right or wrong in whether or not to build a monster that is suitable for a dungeon. It's really up to you. So make a choice. if you don't want to build these monsters, then don't do B12 or improve your runes before you fight B12, right? Or pull the next better viable option out there before you build your B12 team. Okay, so in building the right monsters, what you should focus on, monsters that slows the boss, attack break, strip the boss attack buff, and reduce ATB. It's really quite a lot for GB12, and for DB12, it's really about stripping and landing defense break to nuke down the boss. Okay, so learn the mechanics of the bosses. That really helps you to build the right monsters. And one tip is also to build monsters that can be used in multiple dungeons. Let's say, for example, you could, okay, a classic one. So this is a low lying fruit, right? Build a Frank. Frank can be used for GB12, can be used for DB12, can be used for NB12 as well. Okay, so yes, please build the right monsters for your team if you haven't done so. Now, the third tip that I have is to give your team better runes. It's no joke because the stats between a B12 boss and a B10 boss, the gap is really huge, especially when it comes to resistance. The boss resistance is really high. You really do need high accuracy, right? For example, look at my Lauren, 88% accuracy, right? And you also need quite a good speed. For giants and necro is slightly slower, but for dragons, your speed needs to be pretty fast. So yeah, make good use of the FRR to select better runes on your dungeons team. I think that really helps, and that is exactly what I did for my alternate account. It's always a better investment to set better runes on your B12 team so that you can get a more consistent run rather than giving super good runes on, let's say, Ganymede, which you use it for Siege or Guild War, or for example Feng Yan. But if you do not have sufficient runes to spare, I think a good investment is to put it on your dungeon team. That will help you farm consistently, and this game is really about farming good runes, right? So it's really a better investment in my point of view, in my opinion. So yeah, if you feel that it's not a good investment, then you don't have to, but you will probably struggle quite a bit. Okay, so now if you have given your team better runes and you are still stuck, then what's next? Next will be to up your towers. I haven't fully maxed my light and dark sanctuary, but the rest, they are max. So a lot of YouTubers out there doing the guides, most of them have fully maxed towers as well. So when they show you the monster stats, they didn't show you that they have maxed the towers. So just do bear that in mind, in case you are following the same stats and you realize, hey, you can't clear these dungeons. But why, right? The answer could be that you have not maxed your towers. And what do I recommend? Go for those that are generic before you go for the elemental ones. Of course, everyone always go for speed. And then, I don't know, attack and HP is good. Then after that, you can go for crit damage. Do you have to max one tower before you move to the next? You don't have to, right? Because it gets more and more expensive as you move up the level. How you want to do it is really up to you. I used to spread it across these three: Ancient Sword, Crystal Altar, and Skytribe Totem. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. Okay, so level up your towers, that's the fourth tip. And the fifth tip, if once you have done that, you still can't clear DB sorry, not DB12, you still can't clear any of the B12 teams, or maybe just one of the B12 teams, then what should you do? Now, the harsh truth is, continue to farm B10 or B11. I think that is the best, because it's a way to tell you that your rune quality is not good enough, your progression is not far enough, your monsters probably is not the right one. So all you have left is really just to continue farming the dungeon level that you can comfortably farm with a decent timing, right? So for example, if you can farm B11 in 2 minutes plus, why not just keep farming B11? Like for example, this team that you see right here is a safe team, so the run is about 2 minutes 30. I don't mind, because if I'm multitasking, I just don't mind having a slower run, because I don't have that much crystals to burn through anyway. Okay, so yeah, if you still can't farm any of the B12 dungeons, don't be disheartened. Just continue to farm better runes. Hopefully you can get good hero or legend runes to upgrade your rune set for your B12 teams. Okay, and I guess that's about it. So these are the 5 tips that I have to share if you can't complete your B12 teams. And at the end of this video, I will also put out 2 videos that is for GB12 and DB12. So if you are still stuck at it, if you don't mind, do check it out and see whether that helps you. And if not, then I will see you next time for another video. Goodbye.